And with pitchers and catchers starting camp Wednesday, let's start with our question of the night. Will the Astros win more, fewer, or the same amount of games in the regular season as last year? Hit up KHOU.com/vote now or log on to the KHOU 11 app and give us your take. And the reason we're asking this, Baseball Prospectus coming out with its projections for 2018, and they have the Astros winning the West by 16 games over the Mariners with a record of 99-63. Listen, that's nothing to sneeze at, but remember, we have Justin Verlander now for a full season, and the Astros have added Garrett Cole. So with Daniel Gotera off tonight, Matt Musil under the weather, we have Jeremy Booth back in studio, former Major League scout, now the executive director of Program 15 and the New Balance Future Stars series. Always great to have you here.
Jason, great to be back.
All right, no doubt. So give me your take. More wins, fewer wins, or same amount of wins for the Astros this season?
You know, I think this is a better club. This is a better team than the team that won the World Series, and it's hard to predict a club to win 100 games, 101 games, 105, but I got to tell you, if there's a team that can do it, this is a better team.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. This is a better team, but there is so much baseball to be played, so we shall find out. Okay, all right, Jeremy, in a few minutes we're going to dissect the Astros more, but right now, what do you say to the World Series champs on the first day of spring training? Well, here's the message A.J. Hinch will likely deliver to these Astros. It's something he shared with us earlier last week.
Believe it or not, even though, we come in pretty good, we can get better. And it's probably something that I'll explain to our players when they get there, because I want you to imagine a team that has the smallest guy in the league with the biggest heart. And I want you to imagine a team that has more energy than a team that you probably ever witnessed before, and it starts at the top. I want you to imagine some superstars being sprinkled throughout the field to where at one point the bottom of the order is going to lead the team in hitting as a trio, just as good as most middle of the order. Okay, I want you to imagine having multiple opening day starters to where it doesn't matter who starts opening day, it matters who starts that day. I want you to imagine a bullpen that's put together to where matchups are accepted and maybe perfect roles are not needed. And I want you to imagine celebrating with 1 million fans in the Houston streets. Okay, so, and then I want you to imagine if we do it again. That's why we do this.
Yes, this is why they do that. I think managing right now is more about motivating players than ever before. I think the one thing that stood out to me in that was the talk about the bullpen. AJ saying that there are no perfect roles or perfect roles are not needed. Does this mean that Ken Giles is not your closer and perhaps that the Astros will do a bullpen by committee now?
You know, the Astros rotation, working with that, is a pretty impressive rotation when you're thinking about it. If you have McCullers and Morton in the 4 and 5 spot, which is limited pressure now with the first 3, that has a tendency to change how your bullpen is going to perform night in, night out. You know, every now and then Verlander can give you 7 or 8, and so can Keuchel and complete games. But I think Ken Giles has a chance to go into camp and win that closer position. Whether or not he holds it will be seen.
And certainly the additions of Rondon and Joe Smith, those are 2 guys that can get outs in high leverage situations, especially Smith.
Absolutely, and the Astros have shown they're about leverage situations and getting to that position. So I think it's a better bullpen as well. I think that it's kind of, we'll see what we get any given night, and that's a good position to have.
And back to Baseball Prospectus right now, we look at their numbers for the Astros starting rotation, their projections. The numbers for Keuchel, Verlander et al., we're talking wins and losses, quality starts. We'll put them up on your screen, as well as earned run average. I've got to believe the Astros would be thrilled to see these numbers out of those guys. Now, Keuchel, 13 wins, I think he's capable of more than that, 15, 16. But overall, anything stand out to you?
Verlander's, earned run average is a little high for me on the projection. I'm with you on Keuchel.
But he has those bad starts every once in a while where he gives up, you know, a few bombs, and that perhaps raises that ERA?
He does. He's velocity reliant, but he has plenty of command, right, to work with that. So, you know, for me, with that rotation, that has a chance to go and flow, has a chance to have guys feed off each other. And first of all, if I'm the Astros or anybody, I'm happy with my 5 guys in the rotation doing that, what Baseball Prospectus has said they'll do. But I believe that Keuchel's got more in it.
And 11 wins out of your 4 and your 5 starters.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Garrett Cole, they're bringing him in. Some people talk about a potentially #1 guy since he was an opening day starter for the Pirates. Those numbers,
Yeah. Can the Astros expect that, or will he continue to regress like we've seen in Pittsburgh?
I think he's going to progress. I think he's going to go the other way. He's a former 1-1 in the draft, and he's a former #1 starter. And with Verlander and Keuchel, he pitching in that 3-hole ahead of McCullers, he's going to have a really good year.
And certainly under the tutelage of Brent Strom, that could help him as well. The Astros are stacked. We all know that.
Yeah.
But if they are to make any more deals, is it better to do it now or later? Because we're hearing some trade talk potentially out there.
Correct. For me, I'm feeling like the Astros need to make a deal now.
If they
deal now
with their position, you don't want to be in a position where somebody didn't play well and you have to give up more to get something later, right? If you're right now, you're Jeff Luhnow, you're in a position of strength. You have pitching, you have players on the roster that anybody would love to have, young guys in the system you can deal to go make a deal happen. I would do that now and anchor my club.
The one position, is closer the position that they may have to make a deal for at some point?
You could be that. There's been some talk about a deal with the Marlins, and JT Realmuto, if he was to come to Houston, it would probably involve Kyle Tucker, and that would be a deal that would help both clubs, right? So you could do it now, you could do it later, but dealing from a position of strength is always better than weakness.
Do you feel at some point the Astros will have to give up Kyle Tucker or Forrest Whitley in a deal? Because they've done an amazing job thus far of keeping those guys in their system. But if you continue to push toward another world championship, I gotta believe those are the first 2 guys that any other team asks for, and they have to be.
They have to be, and you can see A.J. Reed in a deal as well. The Astros right now have a window, and if they can capitalize on that window with Keuchel, Verlander, Cole, George Springer with his recent contract, Altuve's here for a little bit more, and Correa, you have Bregman as well, Gurriel. I mean, it goes on and on. These guys have a chance to do some damage. So if you're going to make that deal now, and a club knows that you capitalize on this window, I would imagine it starts with Kyle Tucker.
And the Springer deal, for me, it was good for both the Astros and for George Springer, because George Springer gets his money, and perhaps if he does regress or not have the type of season, he's still going to get his money. And the Astros certainly, if Springer has a monster year, they don't have to go back to arbitration. So to me, it was a win-win deal. Do you look at it that way?
100%. It was a win-win deal for both sides. George Springer has earned his money here, correctly. In any possible conversation, George Springer has earned his money. That said, he's got 2 years left that the Astros rightfully bought out at a fair number. So you got to feel good if you're both sides.
Is there one storyline you're looking for in spring training from this team?
It's the bullpen. I want to see how that plays out. I think AJ was a little prophetic with that. I think that when you're looking at, what roles or not defined roles we're going to have here, and Ken Giles, how he's going to come, I think that's going to be fun to watch happen.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Jeremy, don't go anywhere. You're staying with us for the next segment. In the meantime,